I would like to welcome my learned guest today, Dr. Jean Wong, President of the North Shore Technology Council and the Dean of the School of Science and Technology at Endicott College. He has a PhD in anatomy and cell biology from the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Alberta. And we have today North Shore Technology Council as our theme for today's show, History of Success. Tell us about yourself and your role as part of the North Shore Technology Council.
Oh, okay. So I started as a professor in biology and eventually moved to Endicott College about 15 years ago to build its science program, science technology program. And that's when I also got involved in the North Shore Technology Council. So I've been on the board for a couple of years, and one of the reasons I wanted to work with the North Shore Tech Council was regional economic development of the tech sector. We educate a lot of students in STEM, trying to develop the workforce here and really move the region's technology sector forward. And so I've been president now, it's my third year as president, and we're just, as a member of the board, we're just trying to really promote the region and build its workforce and its industry base.
What makes the North Shore attractive for technology companies, and how does the North Shore compare with the very famous Boston, Cambridge area? So, the tech hub in Boston, Cambridge.
Yeah, so Boston, Cambridge is a big tech hub. One of the reasons is, they have a lot of academic institutions there which are involved in research. But as you go further north, it's actually less expensive to start companies here on the North Shore. So while real estate is super expensive in the Cambridge-Boston area, in the North Shore, it's much more affordable if you're a startup company, I think. When you have limited capital, limited budget to do things. So just to be able to get space in the North Shore and, that quality of life, it's a great area. If you have a family, there's great schools in the region. So I think in terms of Boston, Cambridge, that's the biggest factor, I think, affordability.
I think so too. Governor Healy and the Mass Winds Act. The Mass Winds Act, we're talking $305 million in total, $50 million for global capital, $100 million defense, and many other sectors. It's expected to create jobs. It's expected to lower costs, attract global investment. And it reflects a need that we have for continued strategic investment to maintain Massachusetts leadership, very important in key areas: artificial intelligence, quantum mechanics, climate tech, fantastic event that I just went to, defense, robotics. Governor Healy is making a major decision, strengthening our competitiveness, investing in our cutting-edge sectors of our innovation economy like AI and quantum, and creating more jobs across the state. What do you think?
I think it's an important investment. Like years ago, Massachusetts Life Sciences Center was the same thing. Huge investment just in biotech. And now Massachusetts is essentially a global leader in biotech. So I think the state's investment in industry is important. I think it's good to incorporate industry as a partner in that, and also academia, because you want industry to come here, but you also want to give them the workforce so that they will come here. I think that's where the academic and educational institutions play a role too. So trying to develop all these different sectors, I think, are important, and to kind of push Massachusetts again into a global leader in those particular areas.
Okay. Employers, important partners for the North Shore Technology Council. What are they looking for in young talent today?
So at my particular college, we have an internship program. So we get feedback from industry all the time. And a lot of it is they want workers who can communicate, both written communication, in writing reports, etc., and also in just talking with people, working with others, what we call the soft skills, being able to interact with others and clearly articulate what's going on. I think they also want employees who are intellectually curious, critical thinking skills, where if there's a problem, they're able to kind of work through, well, where's the problem? How do I solve it? How can I solve it? being able to ask for help when needed, but also just being also motivated in their jobs and really interested in their jobs to help, not only their own careers, but move the company forward. So the biggest thing we always hear from employers is the soft skills. The knowledge background, we can provide that and they can add to that, but it's just being able to interact with others, I think, is the biggest thing.
Okay, we're talking about the North Shore. What sectors are growing fast here on the North Shore? I mentioned some: artificial intelligence, biotech, cybersecurity, robotics, clean energy, clean tech, marine technology, medical devices. What's happening in these sectors? What's growing?
I kind of hit on it, pretty much all of them. Like AI, for example, permeates through all sectors, right? Any type of business. A lot of feedback we're getting from students is, yeah, they use AI in their internships, whether it's a technical internship or not. Marine tech, that's probably going to be a huge area in which the North Shore could grow. After all, we are coastal. And places like Gloucester, which is traditionally fishing community, that's their big industry, are looking to diversify. So a number of years ago, there was a blue economy report that Gloucester, UMass Amherst worked on to kind of report on what's there now in marine and where can we go. Biotech's always been big on the North Shore. A lot of incubators. Endicott has one. Interventure Labs. They also have clean tech and Interventure Labs. So pretty much every industry that you've mentioned is poised to grow. But I would probably say especially AI, because it just cuts across all those different sectors.
Okay, Boston, Cambridge. Boston, Cambridge, the proximity of the North Shore to that tech hub, is that important for us here in the North Shore?
Yeah, I think that proximity is really good. So as I indicated, Boston's really expensive. So as you kind of move towards the north, it's going to get less expensive for a startup company to have that initial capital investment in space, rent, et cetera. But also you still maintain ties with, like, I guess, the intellectual resources that are in Cambridge. It's not that far to commute down, 30 minutes, or you take the train down. And a lot of venture capital groups are based in Boston, the Boston Financial District. So I think that's really important for startups to consider, having easy access to Boston, but not necessarily living or being in the Boston area.
What is a tech hub or an innovation cluster, and why do they matter in our regional economy?
So last year, the Massachusetts Technology Collaborative, Mass Tech, announced a program called Tech Hubs. So it was actually Governor Healy who initiated those. Again, huge investment. And the main point of the Tech Hubs was to spread innovation throughout the Commonwealth, the entire state, but in a regionalized way where a region might be really specialized or really has innovation in a particular technology. So they had a Tech Hub grant proposal, and I think over 30 had applied to be Tech Hubs in the state, and 14 were designated. And some of those 14, they were just designated as a Tech Hub, like the Middlesex 3 Coalition. They were a Tech Hub for advanced manufacturing, right? And then there are some who got strategy development grants, which we are advancing in this area, but we want to develop a strategic plan as to how we can push it forward. How can we push innovation forward? How can we get startups into the area? And then there were the actual transformational grants, which are around $5 million, and 3 were awarded because they were already ready to launch their infrastructure program and get those things going. So the North Shore is actually pretty fortunate. We have 5 tech hubs. And UMass Lowell has one in terms of sustainable housing and affordable housing, Merrimack College, Endicott College, Interventure Labs, and the Middlesex 3 Coalition. So, and a lot of them are related to one another. So just 5 tech hubs in our region shows how our technology economy is really moving forward.
So we have the infrastructure to support these tech hubs?
In some cases, yes. So for example, biotech, we have a lot of that infrastructure in place. But for like sustainable housing, that's kind of new. And that one is really important because in order to have a workforce in a region, you have to have affordable housing. So that's what the UMass Lowell Tech Hub is all about, sustainable building and affordable housing.
Wow. venture capital, how does it affect incubators or startups in our area?
A lot of startups start off with, they start with their own money, right? They get an idea, they kind of develop to a point, and then at a certain point they're going to need more money to pursue it further. And I think that's where the venture capitalists come in. They're looking at ideas which will not only, advance science in some way or a technology in some fashion, but also eventually lead to commercialization and a return on investment.
Of course,
so that
growth.
Right. So that venture capital is really important to really push ideas forward and get them into a commercialization state where they can start selling what they've created and getting a return on the investment.
Barriers that may be present and prevent startups from going forward. What barriers do you see here on the North Shore?
I think on the North Shore, I don't see too many barriers. I mean, the two key ones that we've talked about at the North Shore Tech Council is, again, dependent on workforce development in terms of affordable housing, right? Mm-hmm. Students who just graduated out of college or out of community college, most of them would love to stay in the region and work, but sometimes affordable housing is an issue. So they keep moving further and further out, right? Sometimes into New Hampshire even.
Yes.
The other issue we've seen is just public transportation, getting to locations where there are jobs. Oftentimes, it's hard to get to a place. Like when I think of in Beverly, the Cummings Center, huge area, a lot of startup companies.
Yes.
The train stop is in downtown Beverly, so there isn't really that, what we call the last mile connection. So I think that's a big challenge as well. And I think just on the North Shore, from our perspective on North Shore Tech Council, not too many places know about us, where they can set up here. It's an affordable setup. There is a workforce. There's academic institutions here. So I think just getting the word out as to, hey, the North Shore is a good place to do business would help as well.
Okay. We are at a time when both high schools and colleges are about to graduate or have graduated recently. How can they align themselves with workforce needs?
So looking at the high school level, a lot of them are starting. Like even Beverly High School, when my son was there, they have internships now that they have to do, right? So a lot
co-ops also.
Yeah, so a lot of them are trying to push that to get them into industry, just to kind of get them to also see what's out there. The vocational schools are really good at that.
I know, I did that for a living.
Mm-hmm. Essex Technical High School is what Endicott works with a lot. So they have advisory groups for each of their different programs, which includes academia, like the higher ed institutions, and also businesses, industry. So they get feedback from industry directly as to, here are the trends, here's where we're going. And then at the college level, internships are a big part too. I think both at community college and in four-year institutions, because our students go out, they're at a site, they learn things, the site learns about our students and what they know and how they were trained, and then we get feedback from them, right? What do you wish we had taught our students before they got to you? So that's that important feedback and that communication between education and the work and the employers is important for us to know so that we can change the curriculum or add to it and adjust to what up and coming things are going to happen in the future.
It leads me to what role do community colleges and vocational schools play in the tech talent development? And I'm a believer that everybody in the high school and higher education, that it's everybody's job, whether you're a teacher or a professor, that everybody has a job in helping the students towards this career pathway. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to, first of all, get the students involved early, like even middle school, just to get them involved in, having just a 3D printer lab at their school to be able for them to make basic things and print them, basic CAD, math, getting them interested in math. Not exactly a great topic for a lot of students, but math is important in a lot of the tech industry sector. And then, I know we often try to do outreach with high schools involved in their programs, like at Essex Tech, for example. We've done science fairs with elementary schools, middle schools, having our faculty and students go out and judge science fairs, really just to kind of pique their interest.
Partnerships.
Yep.
Partnerships. Emerging technologies. What will shape Massachusetts over the next 5 to 10 years? Where and what are the emerging technologies?
I think part of that WINS Act, where they're investing in AI and quantum computing, that's going to be big. I mean, with AI, you do need a lot of computing power, but quantum computing will make, processing, modeling, things like that, much faster and quicker in terms of iteration. And as I said, AI is permeating all sectors, not just the tech sector, general business, everything. So being able to teach students, I guess, how to use AI and how to properly ascertain it, and also to really check, AI gave you an answer. Does it make sense? Is it right? And that's where the critical thinking skills come in, right? To make sure that, yes, it works, or no, AI didn't do this right. How do we get that right and make adjustments? So I think those are kind of the big areas.
The latest biotechnology trends in research, the research that's going on, what would you say?
So, again, I think AI is involved as well.
Everything.
Like even at Endicott, we have a company which actually uses AI to help lead to the faster discovery of how enzymes work or new enzyme products for research. So I think that's important. And as new technologies develop, like DNA sequencing, way back when I was in high school, they were saying 10 years to sequence the human genome. They did it in 7. Now we have a machine that can do it in a day. But now we're also talking about personalized genomics, where, how you take your blood sugar with a little pinprick and a glucometer. Now they're saying in the future you could do the same thing, put a drop of blood in a machine, it'll do a DNA analysis and give you a readout as to, oh, you have this type of particular cancer. So personalized medicine is also going to be a big growth in the biotech industry.
Absolutely. And that, elaborate on the North Shore Tech Hubs. And as I list each one, can you give me where it is right now? Marine technology, what's happening in that tech hub?
So there's different aspects of it. I know there's Gloucester Marine Genomics Institute, so they're doing genetic research, and a lot of it is geared towards, again,
GMGI in Gloucester.
Yep. Looking at sustainable fishing, for example, by tracking their genetic population, genetic dynamics.
Like why does lobster not have any kind of cancer type cells?
Yeah. Or, the tuna population, how's it growing? But also when we look at marine technology, robotics, marine robotics is huge. And, as we develop more infrastructure in the marine environment, like, we had offshore wind projects, right? You're still going to need to do things like inspect them. So marine robotics is going to be important to inspect the underwater components, aerial robotics for the above ocean areas. And that's, I think, going to be a big area too.
Maybe one of the most important, health tech. Mm-hmm. Health tech, yep. Elaborate on the North Shore.
And I think that's related to biotech. And I mean, a lot of startup companies are geared towards new drug discovery, for example, right? So, there's Pfizer already in Andover. Innoventure Labs has a number of companies which are based on looking for cures or looking for diagnostics even in healthcare to be able to predict, well, not necessarily predict, but narrow down, say, the type of cancer you have so that they can narrow down the drug to be used or the drug that's going to be most effective for that cancer based on its genetic profile. So that, again, goes to personalized medicine in the future. So I think that's kind of, it's a big area.
Big area. Manufacturing tech.
So the North Shore, I don't think is necessarily known for advanced manufacturing, but we have a lot, right? Applied Materials out in Gloucester. They make the machines that make microchips. That's a huge advanced manufacturing facility. And I know someone associated with North Shore Tech Council, Harmonic Drive. They make gears for all sorts of things. Aircraft, the Mars rover, NASA projects. And, I'm told they're growing. And I think as that robotics technology grows, a lot of that growth is going to happen as well. And we're hoping to bring in things like, advanced air mobility, advanced ground transportation systems, marine. It's great to have a prototype, but eventually you're going to have to make it for commercialization purposes, and that's where advanced manufacturing comes in.
And we're very close to General Electric, certainly
Yep.
a big manufacturer. But as long as you brought that up, the future of flight, drones, data, and advanced air mobility, I'm planning on going, and that is at the Beverly Airport. Thursday, May 21st, 12:30 to 6 p.m. Beverly Airport, located fairly close to the downtown Beverly area, not too far out. It's a small airport. What would you say about that event?
Oh, it's going to be great. You're going to learn all sorts of things. One of the directors at Massport is going to be there to talk about sustainable aviation fuel. You're going to look at drones. CVS is going to talk about its use of drones in healthcare. We have advanced aircraft, electric vertical and takeoff and landing aircraft. So actually we just learned that there's an aircraft called a Pivotal, which is a single person aircraft. And it's classified as an ultralight, and it will be at the airport for display as well, so people can see it. And you're just going to see where the future of literal flight is going to occur. And this includes aircraft for, even just regional airports, getting from Beverly Airport to Logan, getting from Hanscom Air Base to Logan. So just regional air traffic is kind of a big issue, especially as, airlines kind of shrink that regional reach with traditional aircraft, because it's expensive when you have jet fuel and a small population hopping back and forth. So you're going to learn a lot, I think.
You learn a lot. I'm looking forward to it. In particular, the use of drones, and especially in healthcare. I'm really looking at that very closely. I know you've been in the business quite a while. How long have you been working in this area?
So I've been a bio professor for more than 20 years.
Yes.
But so as a biology professor, I was kind of limited to what I was doing. But as I joined the North Shore Tech Council, I laugh because I always think, I should have gone to engineering school because I love things like, drones, aircraft, engineering. So I've kind of expanded my own horizons out of just bio into these other areas as well.
So with your long history in the area, I'd like you to share a success story in particular about an emerging startups and established tech companies here on the North Shore. Share a good story with us.
So, interesting enough, there's a company that started at Innoventure Labs, and they were a small group, a bunch of scientists got together. And I can name the company. The company's called Sequel. And what they were trying to do was make it easier to do DNA sequencing. And they have a service too. So they started off as a small company in Innoventure Labs in their space. But then they grew a little bigger and needed more space. So they moved out. And they moved out actually to my space at Endicott College. So they moved out to Endicott College. And that was great too, because one of the requirements to be using our space is to provide our students with internships. So we had a couple of students do interns there, and I think one is still with the company. And this was like 10 years ago.
And again, the name of the company?
Sequel. So
how do you spell?
Sequell. And then they got bigger still, and we couldn't hold the space, so they moved out to their own lab facility at Cherry Hill. So
Cherry Hill Industrial Park.
Yep. And so that's kind of how we actually wanted it to go. Small company, little bit of space. And again, affordability on the North Shore, a little bit bigger, took a bigger space, and then now they're doing very well on their own.
Name industries specifically that are fueling the North Shore growth, the tech growth in the North Shore.
Biotech for sure.
Biotech.
A lot of biotech companies.
Yeah.
Clean tech is also moving up in that area. Yep. I think those are the two biggest ones that I see on the North Shore right now.
Okay. Students and job seekers. Right now, they're going to be entering the growing technical fields such as AI, robotics, cybersecurity, biotech. Where are the future opportunities, and how do they go about getting into some of them?
Again, start early. like middle school. You know, a lot of middle schools have robotics teams. So, and there's so many different roles on a robotics team, right? There's the person who has to kind of keep track of inventory. So there's business aspects to that, procuring parts, watching the budget if there's a budget requirement. There's the students who are interested in computer programming who want to like code. There are the actual engineering type positions where you have to build the robots and make sure they all work, and the testing and the iterations. So I think if your school has opportunities like that, if you're in middle school or high school, definitely get involved that way to start. And then once you kind of get an idea of where you think you might want to enter, that's when you start thinking about, well, where do I want to go for colleges and stuff? And I can't say enough about, like, Massachusetts is great. It has free community college for students.
Incredible.
So that's a great
Wonderful.
place to start.
Best deal that there is out there.
Exactly. And even then, after that 2 years, you could enter the workforce directly or go to a four-year institution. And there are many four-year institutions which pick up students from community colleges, like Salem State.
All the
Endicott,
state universities.
UMass Lowell, Northeastern does a lot, Merrimack does a lot. So a lot of all the public institutions, as you indicated, but also a lot of the private institutions as well.
I didn't realize that,
Yeah.
but yes, makes sense, of course. All of the ideas that were presented today, what would you most like our audience to remember? What would be the most important issue that we have discussed that you would like to have remembered about a show on the North Shore Technology Council?
I think that the North Shore is a great place to do business if you're in technology, right? We've got the infrastructure, a lot of it is in place. We've got academic institutions who are willing to partner with industry. There's great workforce development opportunities from the high school, vocational schools, community colleges, the four-year institutions. So I think what I really want people to think about and know is that the North Shore is a great place for technology.
Okay. I would like to thank my informative guest, Dr. Jean Wong, President of the North Shore Technology Council, for the invaluable information about the events and technology programs offered by the North Shore Technology Council. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Very
Pleasure being here.
informative.